Broadfoot. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. So, for the audience, where are you in the world right now, and what are you doing with yourself?
So I'm in a place called Hua Hin, which is about 2.5 hours south of Bangkok in Thailand. My family and I moved here about 3 months ago, and we were just looking for a change. We left the Gold Coast, which we've always lived on, and we've just decided to travel over the next couple of years and make Thailand a base because it's nice and central, obviously around Southeast Asia, still close to home.
Yep.
Great time zone for Australia, but also now I've realised even better for the UK and the US where we do a lot of work. Son's happy here playing football. We've started to learn Muay Thai. He's going to school soon to learn the language and just sort of embracing a new way of life, a new culture. And in between, we'll go visit, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Vietnam, all these places and just try and, open ourselves up to the world for a couple of years on the road.
Brilliant, brilliant. And how's he finding the youth football in Thailand? I'm sure it's probably got its differences to youth football here in Australia.
Yeah, it's very less structured, especially where we are.
Okay.
Um, you know, there's
In a good
there's
way,
no
or
yes and no. I think in a good way for the fact, as you would know, you're around the NPL system in Australia. I've been for 5 years as well. Like it's full on. Like probably the standard and intensity in the NPL and through Australia is higher than where it is where we are. But we're obviously in a smaller town
yeah,
in Thailand. But we found a really great academy and there's some really good players there. But they're expats. They're Spanish, Russian. One kid from America, there's a couple of Thais. But what you find is you come up against the other local teams. And the best part of it, the first great experience is they rock up on the back of a ute. So you've got like 10 kids just on the back of a ute, just sitting there. I've got a great video of it, I'll send it to you. Um, and that's how they turn up. But
no,
also, some of them, he's playing under 13s at the moment. He's playing up in the 13s. But some of these kids that rock up, they're definitely not 13. There's no one checking passports over here.
oh really?
Mustaches and cigarettes. But it's good. The football where he is, he's at a French-based academy, so it's got European coaches. Their structure's good. It's a very good. They try and play football. A lot of the kids in the sort of local Thai leagues, it's just back to front. The keeper just smashes it as far as he can, and they've got their best kid up front in most cases. But it's been a good little learning experience. Over the weekend, he went away to a tournament, which was about an hour and a half south of here, even. We didn't go. I was in Bangkok for the weekend, but he went down. But just like a cool experience. He's got photos from a tournament in the middle of nowhere in Bangkok, in Thailand. That when he's older, he'll look back on and went, "Oh, that was cool. I remember that weekend." So it's
That's
just great experiences. He's still 11, so I just want him to enjoy it. So I don't mind the unstructured, the change of it. Like
yeah.
being at the NPL and Australia level, we're training 3-4 nights a week. It's very structured, very organised. Whereas here, even though their club's organised, I don't mind the free play of him just having fun, enjoying football. You know what I mean? Just playing. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in a maroon team or a white team or the first team or the second team. It doesn't matter. Just go and play football. Make sure you enjoy it. And as you get older, if you want to take it seriously, then take it seriously.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. It'd be good for his development as well, right? A
Yeah.
couple of years there, playing with different people, different style of play. He gets to express himself a little bit. Who knows? It might just be a really great play from a development perspective.
I think so, because our plan is as we do travel around all these different countries, I've got a lot of contacts in all these countries now that I just want him, if we go, say, to Hong Kong for a week, it's just find a local club and train there, and
Yeah.
go to Singapore, the Philippines, just find a local club, train for a week while we're there. And then, and by the time he's 13, 14, he might have played football in 5, 6, 7 different countries. Which again, it's just an awesome experience, I find. So taking away I think sometimes, especially from what we're used to, with all the private academies, private coaching that pops up outside the NPL, it's everyone at 10, 11, 12-year-old is trying to make it to the Premier League, next week.
Yeah.
It's like it's a long journey. My journey didn't kick off until it was 29, so he's got a long time ahead of him. You don't want to peak at 11, that's for sure. So just enjoy
Yeah.
yourself for a few years, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I love that. So look, high level for the audience, what do you do? Let's not go into too much depth because I want to sort of stay on where you are in the world right now. But what is it that you do?
Work-wise,
Yeah.
So we run a company called SportsFX. Basically, we're a currency management company, and we predominantly deal with sports people, athletes, associations,
Yeah.
player agents, and it's helping clients when they're moving money back and forth across the world. So obviously, there's
Yeah.
100 different ways you can do that now. You can use your bank, you can go to the post office, you can use an app like a Wise, a Revolut, PayPal. There's
Yeah.
thousands of them now. We just take a very hands-on, more of a strategic sort of consulting role,
Yeah.
especially when players go overseas. So, say an Aussie player living in the A League going into Asia or the US, is just put a bigger structure around how they receive their salaries and how they get it back home. So not just sending it once a month through the bank, because they can lose out thousands and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Just putting a bit of strategy around that to help them, mitigate the risk in the foreign exchange markets and get the money
Maximize their
home
money.
quickly and safely, maximize their salary, or at least protect their salary.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So moving to Southeast Asia, what sort of opportunities are going to open for you in this space?
I think a lot. There's a huge market here for football in and
Yeah.
around all these Asian countries. Whether it be Japan, Korea, obviously have very strong leagues with a lot of foreigners coming in. Same with basketball. They've got football, but they're massive in basketball through the Philippines, through Japan. Thailand obviously is big in football as well, and they're all allowed. Generally 5, 6 foreigners in a lot of the clubs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people here that are earning money, and might not be local currency. It might be sometimes, might be US dollars, and it has to go home. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. And our role really, through what we try and do is education. It's just educating players
Yeah.
around. Don't get it sent once a month through the bank. There's different ways to do it, and whether that's through us or I just point them in, the direction of the best solution for them. It's just
Yeah.
all around that education around, currency management, something which is very much overlooked, I feel.
Yeah. Okay. So do a lot of players come to clubs in Southeast Asia and not get paid local currency and get paid USD quite frequently, or?
Yeah, well, a lot of it has a mix. So they might have like their salaries in USD, but their bonuses are in the local currency. So what they'll generally do is they'll send home the salary, being the USD, and it's more stable, and they
Yeah.
might get cash in a local currency when they have a win bonus or a match bonus, and that's
Yeah.
what they live off. Outside of what the club gives them, whether it be accommodation, food, transport.
Hmm.
They've got local money to go buy coffees and lunches and things like that. But
Yeah.
the bulk of their salary is paid in US, and that's generally what they'll send home.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. And I'm just putting my US cap on here for a minute. Like, what's the sort of level that these guys are recruiting from in Southeast Asia? You say, you could take on a handful of international players, 5 or 6 per team. Would they be looking at, maybe top quality kids coming out of the US? Is it A-League players? Is it generally a little bit lower? Is it semi-pro players? Because I've heard so many mixed things about going over to Southeast Asia, and in that sort of professional space and what it actually looks like.
Very different. To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of the professional space yet because when I've been here, it's been the off season of the Thai league. It starts back in August, I think, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen over the years, just in like J League, K League, I think those are the two bigger ones where
Yeah, for
they're
sure.
looking at the guys in the A League. So we've got we would have had a heap 10 to 20 guys come out of the A League and go into the top leagues in Asia, maybe K1, K2 or J1, J2.
Yeah.
But they might have had 20 to 50 A League games under their belt.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a lot of others that, there's a guy who, when I done my first podcast episode, there's a guy called Michael Glassick who had been at Sydney's NPL. And then he ended
Yeah.
up in the Malaysian First Division playing in front of 35,000 people every week,
Wow.
getting decent money.
Yeah.
So I think because the level of the NPL around the country, like I'm more familiar with the Queensland one because I was up there, but obviously through Sydney and Melbourne, there's some really good players in there that I
Yeah.
reckon could pick up deals over here very easily and probably be earning, depending on where you end up, from 3 to 10,000 US dollars a month.
Wow. So how
Yeah.
would an NPL player over here in Australia even go about trying to source these opportunities?
It's probably hard, and it's probably hard. You'd probably want an agent in the region.
Yeah.
I haven't met any yet, but I've met a couple. But you need to find a good one. That, to be honest, it's not why I'm here. I don't want to be an agent, but I want to, if I come across these opportunities, it's just to see them for myself with my own two eyes. And then if someone wants to reach out and ask me for some advice, then I'd be happy to just point them in the right direction. I'm going to be working a lot with a lot of the football federations around this region over the next couple of months. And as I do that, I'll just get to learn, a bit more about the clubs, a bit more about the people involved. They do run showcases. There's a lot of sort of showcases here. I know in America they run showcases. Over here they do it as well. There was one in Bangkok over the weekend. That's why I went up there to have a look at it.
Yeah.
Standard wasn't great, and more of the people that were there were sort of Thai League 2, Thai League 3 scouts and clubs looking. A couple of guys from America that have been through the college system, a couple of guys from Australia, one who was from Melbourne, one that was from the Gold Coast, a couple of guys that were from Sweden. There was a guy that played in the Swedish second division. He was probably the standout player, but you could tell he just looked like a professional player, like he was just looked stronger and fitter and faster, and he was a good footballer as well. So I definitely think, in Southeast Asia, even in, this second, third divisions in Europe, there's so many opportunities outside of Australia for people if they're willing to, I suppose, do the homework, take the risk in moving somewhere. If they are in and around that NPL system and there's no sort of pathway to the A-League, which is difficult because there's not a lot of teams there, and they've obviously got, academies that they bring players through from, sorry. So sometimes, but at the end of the day, sometimes the NPL, they're picking up decent money training, 3 nights a week as well while working. So it just depends what you're after.
Yeah, okay. Would you recommend players go and have a crack at these showcases?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, if I had the chance to do it when I was younger, looking back now, I definitely would have done it. If you can handle, some people can, some people can't. Like, it's obviously a different lifestyle, food's different, culture's different, everything's different. But if you could do it, the worst case scenario is it doesn't work out and you go home. That's the sort of worst case. You've spent a bit of money, but at the end of the day, if you want to be a professional footballer, I think, and earn good money somewhere, you've got to invest in yourself. To do that. You're not going to be lucky enough that the odd person might be where someone sees you, get a tap on the shoulder, and all of a sudden you're training with Sydney FC or Western Sydney or whatever it may be. But I guess more often than not, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, let's talk a little bit about your footballing journey. Like, rewind the clock, start from the beginning, because it's quite a unique one. I love to hear it again.
So I played. My first ever club was, I grew up in Scotland, so my first ever club was Glasgow Rangers. Under 10s, that's the first team I played for. And I got released after one season, and they said to my dad that he's the most talented player we have, but he doesn't work hard enough. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I just cried the whole way home, for about half an hour. But as I got older and older, I just played locally on the Gold Coast for many years. That's where I played. Train Tuesday, Thursday, play Saturday, go out, have a few beers.
MPL or
didn't have it back then. No, there was no NPL. There was an old Forex league which sort of came and gone. So no, this was before the NPL started.
Queensland Forex league.
Forex league, mainly Brisbane teams. One from Bundaberg. We used to have great away trips to Bundaberg for the weekend. That was good fun. But just always playing in and around there. But the Gold Coast League, even this, that southeast Queensland region, is very strong. Especially over the years, there's been some really good footballers that have come out of it. Because you have a lot of expats as well. A lot of guys coming from the UK, Spain, South America. There's loads of Colombians, Brazilians, and everything on the Gold Coast. So you do find a lot of good footballers.
Yeah. And then what happened?
So I was playing. Just what age was I? Sort of 28. I've just been playing, as I said, 10 years in the local league, doing well. Always, whether it be winning trophies or winning golden boots or things like that. So always been a good player in the local league. And then Gold Coast United came along in the A-League back in 2009. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a crack. It's like, here's an opportunity to potentially play professionally. I was playing locally with Surfers Paradise and a guy called Konbutsianis ended up coaching them. So old NSL legend with South Melbourne, and he went over, played in, I think he went to Bolton. I don't think he ever played, but he was over at Bolton, came back, very well regarded Australian player. He ended up coaching there. So I was working with him, a couple of nights a week, and then he was doing some private stuff, and I went, you know what, let's do it. So I trained with him 6 nights a week, maybe for 6 months.
Wow. Just went all in.
Just went all in, changed
Yeah.
my diet, changed my sleeping habits, just done all the right things in regards to preparation.
Yeah.
And then randomly, I mean, it sounds stupid to say now, but until I met Con, I was 28, 29, I'd never even heard the term core strength. Never knew what it was, didn't know what your core was.
Yeah.
And once we worked on that within a few months, the difference in just my speed, my strength, my leaping
Really?
ability, my shooting, like unbelievable. Like
What,
I
what,
was never, I was
what were
never
you
quick.
working on in particular? Like, was it
Done a
just
lot
you
of
training 6 nights a week? You couldn't be working on your core like in massively over, 6 nights, or were you? I don't know.
a lot of sprint training, a lot of gym work, but not heavy weights, things like that.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
a lot of
Interesting.
core work, whether it be planking, whether it be just this weight training,
Yeah.
a lot of running, a lot of
Hmm.
sprints, shorter
Yeah.
sprints, longer sprints, just lots of running, and then a lot of technical work, 2 or 3 nights a week, just on the ball, shooting, finishing, things like that.
Yeah.
But within a few months of sort of changing my diet and training that way, an amazing difference. It really
Yeah,
was.
wow.
And I used to always have groin and back injuries, and they just disappeared.
Really?
But again, I'd never known what it was or what effect it had on the body. And
Yeah.
as I said, at that age, it seems stupid to think that, but we never really had sports science. It wasn't a big thing back then. It wasn't really
Mm.
taught as much as it is now. So yeah, once I'd done that and really put my mind to it, I got, they had picked their team for the first season where they had, glamour team, Kalina, Smelts, Glenn Moss, Michael
Yeah.
Thwaite, all the guys. They had a fantastic team. They'd done really well. And then towards the end of, what was it, middle of 2010, my mate in Australia, Alex Morrison, he got me I was like, I've got to go do something. So he set me up with Toronto Leaks in the PDL
Yeah.
in Canada, but in the US League.
Hmm.
So we decided to go, all right, let's go plan that for 3 months. So I'd been working, obviously to get myself fit, and
Yeah.
randomly I was playing at just a local team, Gold Coast Knights, and
So you'd
I didn't.
stopped at United and gone to Knights? Is that how it
No,
works?
I hadn't. This is in before United.
Oh, okay.
I was
Sorry.
just train. I was just
Yeah.
training with Con at Surfers Paradise, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
then the opportunity came up to go overseas.
Yeah.
And Knights had offered me a short-term deal with a bit of money, and I went, you know what, let's do it. I need the money; it's going to help.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, I played 3 games, and in the first game I played, Miron Bleiberg was coming to watch someone else.
Wow.
Wasn't coming to watch me, and I just happened to play very well. But I look back now, it was like that, the preparation that I'd done had got me that opportunity. And
Yeah.
after the
Definitely.
game, he's like, can you come meet with me? So we went up to the old, the Gold Coast Casino, Jupiter's. After the game, had a chat for a while. He said, look, there's a few players potentially on the move.
Hmm.
At that time, I think Smeltsy was looking at going to Turkey. And there was a few others sort of coming and going. And I'd let him know that, look, I've taken this 3 month opportunity in Canada, booked all
Yeah.
the flights and we've done everything. He said, that's fine, just keep in touch and, let me know when you get back.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how that came about. I went to Canada. I played the 3 month stint there, through Toronto and North America. Amazing experience. Kept in touch with Miron. And then when that
PDL was,
ended, PDL. Yeah, so that was the
yeah,
PDL.
which
So
is
we played
now
against,
USL too. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So now, back then we'd be playing against Chicago Fire,
Yeah.
like their feeder team or like their youth team in
The
the summer.
second team. Yeah.
Yeah, Columbus Crew, the
Yeah.
PDL team, which was the Michigan Bucks,
Yeah.
Detroit. So it was great. It was just an amazing experience. You take bus trips from Toronto, all through North America, playing Detroit, playing
Yeah. Brilliant.
Michigan Bucks, play Chicago, Cincinnati, Dayton. Just really
Detroit had
cool
some
experiences.
good crowds as well, didn't they, when they were back in that competition?
Yeah, so we played away there the first, I think, third or fourth game of the season,
Yeah.
and that was at the time when the 2010 World Cup was on, and it
Yeah.
was an indoor arena in Michigan.
Wow.
I think it was called United Soccer Leagues or United Soccer Center.
Yeah.
2,000 people showed up,
Yeah, well,
to watch the game. Those vuvuzelas, the big horn things that
sailors.
were
Yeah, the rubber
vuvuzelas.
sailors. Yeah.
Mate, they were everywhere because they were over at the
Oh,
World Cup. So we were playing in that stadium,
indoor event as well.
indoor event, and they were going off every 2 seconds, and we got pumped 6-0. So it was just like a
Oh,
great experience, but not a great experience. Um, they were the best team. They were at that time Columbus Crew's sort of feeder club
yeah,
or youth team, so they were very very good. And we lost our first 4 games just through one. They were very good, but the other games just were a bit unlucky, or we'd missed a lot of chances and got beat 1-0 type thing.
yeah,
And then we started winning a few games, but that was we'd have some good crowds in good places, and like that, you played outside. We didn't play in the Chicago Stadium, but they had a stadium, a field just outside,
yeah,
which was great. Sometimes you'd be playing at like a college, sort of
yeah. As it still is now.
college stadium. So yeah, just again, for me to look back and go, well, I played in Chicago, I played in Cincinnati, I played in Dayton. Whether you win,
Yeah,
lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. You look back years later and go, that was a really cool experience.
yeah,
And I think what it done is it helped. I believe it helped, Miron then go, well, or anyone go, well, he's gone overseas and played. I think it gives a bit more to you. I think people
yeah.
look at you a
Okay.
little bit differently. I don't think it matters where you've played or how you've done or whatever. I just think they go, well, maybe they've got a bit of resilience. They've obviously got a bit of bravery
Hmm.
to move to a different country and play a different thing and take a bit of a risk. So then I came back and went and trained with Gold Coast United, and they offered me a short term deal
Yep.
as a player injury cover. I think it was 4 weeks at the time, and that turned into a 1 year deal and turned into a second year deal.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I was 29. So at that point, that was my first ever professional contract, and I was 29 years old.
It shows, don't
And
give up. I mean, I think, you go back to what you said before. It was obviously Miron's come to the game to look at another player, but I think, the work that you'd obviously put in the months leading into that paid off massively.
yeah, yeah, I think as I say, sometimes you make your own luck, but I think it was just through that preparation and then the opportunity, which as I said, didn't even know was there. You
Mm.
never know who's watching, so if you can just go out and like that, always give your best. If you're prepared and you saw you're ready, you've done the right preparation. Anything can happen. I was very lucky. It's not something that it happens very often.
Mm.
And then yeah, got to sign a deal and made my debut in the A League against Robbie Fowler, Perth away.
Wow. Wow. And so how did
No,
it go?
so
Like when you went to the A League, obviously playing PDL to the A League, how much of a step up was it? Or was it even a
oh,
step up at
oh,
all?
massive, yeah, massive. Look, in obviously in America playing PDL, you're playing against a lot of American, like it might be that sort of African or the black kids there that they're just athletes. They're so fit,
Yeah.
so fast, so strong, and we'd be training every day, but nowhere near the intensity of when I went to United. So the first couple of weeks that I was there, I kept picking up these little niggles because my body just wasn't used to it. I'd never
Mm.
trained full time. Obviously being 29, I'd never done the right recovery for years and years, or been training, daily for years and years. So I'd pick up these little niggles that I'd never had before, like a calf
Mm.
injury or a hamstring, just soft tissue stuff from
Yeah.
from the training. But no, the step up was huge in regards to obviously the quality, but also the intensity. You're coming up against Kalina, for instance, in training, who's
Mm.
just come back from PSV, playing Champions League and top
For
league, and
Australia.
yeah, tons against Australia. Like even in training, no one can get near him. Like the sharpness was unbelievable. Smeltsy was the same because Smeltsy and I went to high school together. We played junior football together.
Yeah, right.
But the difference in him of just being a professional footballer for say 10 years in different areas,
Yeah.
just that yard or two of how to move the ball, when to move the ball, how to protect the ball. As a striker, you
Mm.
could just see, the difference was big. And obviously, he'd been to the World Cup and just scored against Italy as well in 2010.
Yeah.
So,
They
it's
didn't they didn't lose a game in that World Cup, did they? Didn't
I
they go
didn't.
through
No,
3 draws or something like that?
3 draws, yeah, and scored against Italy. Not a bad few weeks.
But he was a proper striker in the A League, though. You look back, of some of the best.
Yeah.
Barisha comes to mind. Smeltzy's right up there for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Him,
Four
Thompson, McLaren, like the goal scorers. Like Spencer, you could be a game. you don't see him for 89 minutes, but they win 2-0 and he scores two. You know, like he could
Yeah.
just pop up and he was a great finisher. Yeah. So, and as I said, like I think he started at like, I don't know if he went to like AFC Wimbledon or Halifax, or, you know, he went to the UK very young and spent years in the lower leagues, you know, and then obviously got a
Grinding it
big
out.
break with Wellington and then Gold Coast and then Sydney. I think he went to Sydney, went to Perth, and yeah,
Was it Sydney for a bit, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
nice.
no, standard was very high, and I think, you know, the standard when you look at the players that played back then, like technically, you know people like, as you say, Barisha, there was Broish at Brisbane Roar, you got Kalina, Joel Porter was a great player. You know, there's Thwaidy, Dino Djulbic was there at the back. We brought in a few Dutch players, a few Brazilians, so yeah, the quality was good, very good.
That Gold Coast team was solid for a good few. I mean, how long was the United Gold Coast United there for until it folded? Was it 5 years?
I think it was only three. 2009 was their first,
Yeah, wow.
2010. And then 11, I think, might have been the year where all the players left and they brought in like a lot of youth players.
Mm,
And they're playing a lot of youth players. But I mean, the youth team had won that youth league, which only ran for 2 years. I think they won it both years. You know, and you had people like Zach Anderson, Ben Halloran, Chris Harold, Steve Lustiker. They're all in that team. You know, very, very good. They all went on to play, you know, in the A League for many, many years. Um,
so what went wrong at the Gold Coast then, and where did you go afterwards?
I got a, so I played, and this was, you know, I'd played 5 games off the bench, so I'd
Yeah.
started to get a run. I was playing in the youth team, scoring a lot of goals. Like at that point, I was too good for the youth team, but I just wasn't. I don't think I was there yet to start in that top team.
Yeah.
Again, just due to experience and fitness and just playing at that level. But I do remember, like very vividly, we played our first 4 games. I'd come on 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Yeah.
You know, the first day was Perth away. I came on the last 10 minutes, and the, I come on the pitch, and I was excited. Like, because I was older, I wasn't nervous anymore. I was excited. I couldn't wait to get on.
Yeah.
And then when I got on, it felt like the pitch was like 3 times bigger than a normal pitch. Like it
Really?
was the weirdest feeling. And then the ball came to me, and I turned, and before you knew it, someone tackling me, like just so quick.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
so the first 4 games went like that. It just was getting on. I got a few touches and
Yeah.
didn't do too much, but just, you know, got a few touches, kept the ball, had one shot on goal, I think, against Perth. I tried to chip the keeper and he tipped it over. And then the 5th game, I come on the 30th minute. We're playing Sydney FC at the Sydney Football Stadium.
Yeah.
Someone got injured and he put me on. And again, that sort of first 10, 15 minutes before half time was again that just that frantic, you know, where am I, what's going on, everything's.
Yeah.
But the second half, I felt like I played, I got on the ball, and I just felt like, all right, I feel like I'm at this level now. Like I just
Yeah.
it felt a
God.
change. It just felt like, all right, I've had a few games now, and I feel good. And even after the game, a few of the players went, "Look, well done, that was good, well done." So
Yeah.
you just felt like, all right, it's going to start. And then the weekend after, we were playing. I think it was Newcastle at home on the Saturday, and I was getting my first start. I think
Yeah.
Smeltsy, someone was injured, and I was going to start. And on the Friday afternoon, I rolled my ankle and snapped a bone in the back of my ankle.
Nah.
And 3 operations later, and
Nah.
nothing. Could never get back to that level, and they ended up releasing me on a like a career-ending
Nah.
injury type
No.
deal.
Oh, you poor bugger.
So as quick as it came, it sort of disappeared at the same time.
Yeah. Wow.
You know,
And
which
what?
is just
Couldn't play. Did you play at all afterwards, or was that you
I
just? Yeah.
didn't play for 3 or 4 years probably. Just
Yeah. Okay.
had a lot of rehab, a lot of issues like that. A second operation, more rehab, a third operation, more rehab, and then just stopped. And then back in about maybe 2015, 2016, so 2 or 3, maybe 4 years later, I just started playing
Mm.
locally again.
Yeah.
You know, training once or twice a week and just playing on a weekend. And then kept doing that until I was like 40, just
Yeah.
playing with mates and yeah, playing locally.
Yeah. Wow. It's a shame. Here's an interesting question. Like, if you could have gone back, you reckon if you'd have dedicated like that 6 month period you had with your private coach,
Yeah.
you've done that at like 19, 20, do you think it might have been a different story?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know. I look back now, and you can see just say using Colleen as an example, right? Because he's played at the
Yeah.
highest level for the longest time. But his mindset and his mentality is like all in. He doesn't switch off. He's so serious. He's focused on football. Even now, when you chat to him, like you can have a laugh at him, but you can just tell that he's super super serious. And
Mm.
so I can tell that when he got on the pitch or when he was off from the pitch, all he ever thought about was football, 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 and he had that drive to succeed no matter what. Nothing would stop him.
Yeah.
Scott McDonald's the same, right? Scott's a mate of mine now. He's moved to the Gold Coast. I've known him for a few years, and he's the same. We play a bit of five-a-side together, but you can see why he plays at
I've
the
seen the other
highest level.
one.
Yeah, like you can see why he played at the highest level because that mentality of football is he would just die on the pitch. I never
Mm.
had that. Looking back now, being older, I never had it. But if I did, I reckon I could have made a go of it early on. Ability wise, I was confident that I had the ability to play. I just didn't have that mental toughness and mental strength to do it.
Yeah. Interesting. And then obviously led you, you know, moving into sports FX now. Obviously your football background is probably why you wanted to niche into this area. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. I started in FX in 2015, and after I'd been
Yeah.
there for a few months, I was thinking, I was like, well, I wonder how the players move their money around. So I actually approached the PFA to ask the
Yeah.
question, and they had deals in place with other people. So I was like, okay, but it was just in the back of my mind. And the more and more I was in that industry for 5 years before I started my own business. But I
Yeah.
always had a thought about sports events, just like, all right, how could you be like a niche, to athletes globally, footballers, basketballers, cricket players, whatever it is, using my FX experience and obviously my sports experience and football experience. Um, so yeah, I tried for 8 years. I approached the PFA about three times over that 2015, 2020, no, 2015, I think 2017, 2019 or 2020.
Yeah.
And then in 2022, they approached me. All the sort of deals that had
Wow.
fallen over or
Yeah.
disappeared. And Johnny McCain rang me. He said, look, we've got a few players overseas that need help. Are you still doing this? And I said,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we helped a couple of the players, and then one thing led to another, and we've been working with the PFA for 2 years. Like we done a 2 year arrangement back in 2023, and we just
Yeah.
extended it last week for 3 more years. It's been super successful
Brilliant.
for the players, the association, and for Sports FX. It's just been a perfect partnership. So we've just extended that to 2028. So we look after a lot of the Socceroos and Matildas, a lot of the players coming in and out of the A League or even the A League women's as well,
Yeah.
and the association itself, and just helping people like that around currency management, information around how and when to transfer, if they're
Yeah.
going on holiday, the best way to do it, if they're receiving an inheritance or selling a property overseas, just those things that I've got the
Yeah.
experience in now. So it's just helping people along that road.
Yeah. Nice. So how many footballers do you work with, or how many professional athletes do you work with on an annual basis?
We're up over 100 now.
Yeah. Well.
Yes, we've got over 100 now, predominantly footballers, obviously through the PFA, and then through word of mouth. I'll get text messages all the time now via WhatsApp, just saying I spoke to so and so who told me to reach out.
Yeah.
So that happens a lot now, because it's my business. It's just me that runs it and deals with players. So if you're working with another company and there might be a call center involved, there might be account managers, 10 different people, you never know what's happening. Whereas at least when it's
Yeah.
my business, me, I know what's happening, and I know that no matter what, we make sure everything runs as smoothly as possible and people have a good experience, and then they just refer, because it's one of those things, it's you can go overseas and you can send money through an app, that's fine, it's no problem, it's easy to do. But I think when the players said, oh no, look, I use Chris, he's really helpful, just touch base with him on WhatsApp, they do, and then we just take it from there. And like that, I think a lot of the
That's
times
personal touch.
it is. It's definitely that, having that personal touch, because we've got a platform that people can use. Like they can log online and use it themselves. And I thought, being in the sports area, that 80% of people would use the platform and 20% would use me, but it's the opposite. Probably
Really?
probably closer to 90% just get me to do it, and 10% use the platform. And I think they like that personal touch. They know that
Mm.
you know
And not speaking to
I've
a
got this.
robot.
Yeah, or just a bit of advice or guidance around what's happening, with the rates. I've got a transfer coming up in the next few months. And then
Yeah.
we'll put some targets in place of where the rates are at, and if it gets here, maybe we should look at doing something, etc., etc. So just provide a bit of a tailored plan because everyone's different, whether they're receiving money, sending money, where it's coming from, where it's going to. So just taking that time to work one on one with people.
Yeah, I love that. And let's talk about our partnership. Now, obviously, I know because I speak to parents and explain the benefits of obviously using your service, but for the general audience, it'd be good for them to hear it from you. Like, why is our partnership so important to athletes and families in your eyes?
Two things probably like the main one that everyone looks to first. They want to save money when they're sending money. You know what I mean? Like if you're sending money to
Yeah.
the US, the bank rates are terrible. Can it be cheaper? And it can be. You know, we can if someone because like that, if someone's taken up a scholarship, it might not be a full scholarship. They might have 5 grand to pay, 10 grand to pay, 30 grand to pay. Could be anything. Um,
Yeah.
you know, so you can save people a lot of money on the transfers themselves, just a straight transfer.
Yeah.
But again, it's also around that guidance and timing. Sometimes it's going to, it might go to the university directly. They might need to pay it over 3 or 4 payments. They might need
Mm.
a bit up front and a bit later on. So we can do things like lock in, forward contracts where we lock the rate for a period of time so the parents know what it's going to cost them.
Yeah.
Helping them with, if they need to receive money over there, we can help them by providing a bank account to receive funds into. So I think with what, obviously with what you guys are doing and providing great options for them in different places, one of the parts they do need to just take care of, it's going to happen one way or the other, is they do need to pay for stuff or send money back and forth, to the US and Australia, is just having someone that can give them a bit of guidance and information. And like that, we've known each other for a couple of years now. We've obviously
Yeah.
helped a lot of players. So it's just good to go, yeah, look, this is Chris's area. Or if someone asks me a question about college football, I'm like, well, I'll speak to Dylan, that's his area. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
just try to find that general overall portal of people that can help athletes.
Definitely done that a couple of times, giving you the old Clive Palmer. There's someone's asking me the bank question. I'm like, just speak to Chris. So that's what he's here for. So don't
Yeah.
ask me.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like I look after that one space mainly, which is the currency space. But over the years now, as I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. We've built out a lot of different partners in different areas. So I work with people that specialize in sports visas, college scholarships. Then we've got people that do lawyer, so legal dramas or legal questions.
Yeah.
People that do tax and accounting, investing. If people want to trade, forex, they want to trade stocks, they want to get into crypto, whatever it may be in that financial space. We're just trying,
Nice little
yeah,
ecosystem.
just people that are like myself or yourself. That
Mm.
you're doing it for the right reasons. Obviously, you've got a business and you've got money to make, but it's like an athlete first thing. It's like, all right, how can we help you along your journey? Because you hear so many bad stories about people getting stung left, right, and center,
Mm.
whether it be through investments or through just bad advice. So
Yeah.
it's just people that I've known over the years now that, have a very good track record. I've vetted them thoroughly. We've worked together with a few clients. It's just having that little, yeah, as I say, that little sort of circle of sort of trusted
Yeah.
advisors in that space that we're just
Transfer
trying
of
to help with.
trust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
100%. I think it's so important as well. We're in the space I'm in now, we're speaking to a lot of kids that, are genuinely looking to go professional.
mm,
They're young, right? We're talking 19, 20, 21 year olds that have done well in college or players in this country, etc. And I wish I had someone in my corner teach me about money from a young
yeah,
age. It's so important. So even like, speaking to someone like yourself, it's yeah, you might do a big transfer of sums from one country to another, but that's not just what you do, right? There's other
yeah,
partnerships and people in place that you can sort of maximize your money. Because when you're a young footballer, all you want to do is go and play football, right? Yeah, it's great that you get
yeah,
paid, but what are you doing with the cash? Not just
yeah.
sitting in a bank or it's burning a hole in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's better things obviously to do with it, and everyone's different. Some people might want to just have it in the bank. Some people might want to invest in real estate. Some people might want to have a trade. A lot of people want to trade. Footballers have a lot of spare time. Obviously, they
Yeah.
train, you know, but they have spare time. And I think sometimes, and we've seen it a lot, obviously through the Premier League, where they get stuck in that gambling hole, and a lot of them might lose money gambling, or they're betting on things they shouldn't be. A lot of
Yeah.
people want to trade. They're interested in the stock market or the foreign exchange market or the
Yeah.
crypto market. And again, there's so many scams out there. You know, it's constantly. That you just need that couple of people that go, all right, now speak to this guy or speak to this guy. And it's the same with people trying to find these professional deals. There's things all over the world that you're paying money for, but I see stories time after time after time where it's just not what they've paid for, or they've lost a heap of money doing this, that, or the other. Um, so yeah, just being around, you know, meeting people, vetting them, making sure that it is what they say it is. Um, I think it's important as well.
I think there's another conversation to be had, building some sort of resource for young footballers that are just starting to come into a bit of wealth. You know, how do you manage your money? You know, what are the different options to
Yeah.
be looking into, whether it is the stock market, crypto, real estate. I think there's another conversation to be out there, Chris.
No, definitely, definitely. Look, I'm not a financial advisor. You know, that's not my bag. But we work with you know good ones.
Yeah,
For that reason, because I get asked the question as well. I'm sending this home. What do I have to pay in tax? Or I want to invest in this. Like, what should I do? It's like, well, I'll put you in touch with these people because I trust them. I know that other
yeah,
players have worked with them. Speak to them about this. Speak to me about that. Speak to Dylan about this. Yeah, I think it's important. Very important.
no, for sure. Look, in closing up today, yeah, this is a little tradition that I always like to do, right? And a lot of the people that I speak to are former athletes, whether in some cases professional like yourself or collegiate or whatever that sort of space may be. And it almost ties into what I asked you before, like, you know, if you could have gone back an extra 10 years and put in that dedication that you had in that 6 month period, like, well, what would the outcome might have been, right? But for you, if you could rewind the clock, maybe even go back as far as Lil Chris getting released from Rangers, you know, 11 years old, what advice would you give him and why moving forward with his life?
I think now that I'm older and looking back, you just go, I do believe that anything is possible, like anything is possible. You know, we've sold everything in Australia and moved to Thailand. Like, you know, two
Mm,
years ago, that wouldn't even have been a thing. But you put your mind to something now and you want to achieve it. There's tools and resources out there for anything that you want, but it has to come from within. You have to have a goal and you have to have patience.
mm,
Good things take time. So
yeah,
you do have to have patience. So I'd probably say be patient, have a goal, don't give up on it, and reach out to people for help and resources to help you get there. But patience would be the big one, especially in now this day and age where you know someone wants to put something on TikTok and get 1 million views tomorrow. Otherwise, it's the end of the world. It's not how you know growing a real sort of lifestyle and life works.
mm. I even think your network's so important, right? You know, reaching out to people, asking for help, asking for resources. It's massive. It's how I've grown this. It's how you've grown Sports FX. You know,
Yeah,
leverage on the people that you meet along the way. And if someone is better at something than you, then come and ask them how to
yeah,
do it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't be scared to ask for help. No, definitely not. Because like that, as they always say, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
Um, Even YouTube nowadays, like I rarely watch anything apart from YouTube. But you know,
yeah,
it's 90% of what I watch because there's just so much valuable information out there. You know, you obviously got to cut through a lot of noise and a lot of rubbish and people clickbait stuff, but there's a lot of good, genuine people giving good advice on several different things.
yeah. No, I completely agree. Awesome, mate. Thank you so much for your time, and yeah, looking forward to a catch up in maybe Southeast Asia next year. What do you
Yeah,
reckon?
yeah, sounds good.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, no problem.